Where is it? Okay, right there. Failing and passing this test. You're gonna fail more often than none, but if you pass enough times, women just respect you. Okay? They submit. They naturally want to submit. Okay? So you don't have to pass all the time, but you gotta pass enough times. You can't just be this person 100% of the time. You're like a shit test detector, and the next move you make is you fail the test anyway, right? Anyway, so it's part of what makes us men. And the masculine frame in those contexts, you bring the structure, the safety, and security. That's what the masculine frame does, right? And these are sizable books. They are minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author, and those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that. All right, so South Shaolin Fist Kowloon. I don't know what that is. Has an interesting name. Correction: Tariq muted people that were being rude, talking over him. Well, it's still an indication of lack of a level of patience. Okay, if you bring people into your space, and I think O'Shea Jackson talked about this, or maybe it was him or Charlemagne talked about this. When you bring people into the space and they hit on a link to come and talk to you, you have to exercise patience, right? And muting them. I actually see. I come from the school of Star and Buckwide, right? And I always enjoyed when he muted his co-host and stuff like that. It was just funny and entertaining, right? From that standpoint, I understand. But from a standpoint, so if it was just another moment of roast for him to roast people, that's fine. But I'm saying if you're just doing that because you lack patience, that's more on you. That's more of a problem that you personally have, and your conversation is not going to move further because you lack the patience to listen long enough. Yes, it takes a lot of patience. It's a lot of work to be patient when you feel like people are spewing nonsense and stuff that's obviously stupid, right? But that's part of the conversation. What am I doing right here? I'm having a conversation. I'm looking at the comments and we're talking more about it because that's how you engage people and you have meaningful conversation as opposed to having an echo chamber where everyone believes in the same thing. So I beg to differ that he's muting people just for being rude. They are by default supposed to be rude. If they're gonna, I mean, just Jay just said people are so rude. Yeah, people are rude. I give uh, that's a fact of life. But if I create a platform where people that's kind of public, I should expect that people that may have differing opinions will sometimes come off as rude. I should have that expectation, and if I don't, that's entitlement, and it's just wrong. So again, I may, if I start doing callings and stuff like that, and I bring people on and I mute them for fun, I will do it. I promise I will remind everyone I'm doing it for fun. But the idea that I'm catching emotions, and no, that's just what it is, right? So I guess another example of HBCUs with medical schools in them, Howard, Morehouse. Okay, I'm not too familiar with the HBCUs, by the way, so educate me if I come off a little bit. Um, all right, so and somebody said on O'Shea Dick Jackson's video, somebody said constructive conversation. Yeah, I thought so too. And then of course I had the Jen on the block with Jen came by and dropped a comment on the video or reaction that I did to their review of the Manosphere. Is the Manosphere pseudo masculine? She said, excellent and fair review. And I did throw some shots at the ladies, especially Anna, her name, Annalicia. Yeah, Annalicia. I did throw some shots here and there, so I wasn't exactly just pushing against the guys, but also it was their platform. See, when I create a platform and you come on stage and you want to talk to me, I kind of expect a little bit better. I expect more of the responsibility of decorum to be on the guest in certain respects. There are certain times I should also be a good host, right? So, but the truth is that a lot of the men that went on that stage, majority of them, maybe one or two, with the exception of one or two, majority of them lack the ability to read a room. They were more so more focused on wanting to be right, the need to be right, right? And that's what you find in a lot of these spaces, and that's okay. That's what makes the conversation even more fun. But let's call a spade a spade. So she goes, excellent and fair review. That episode did indeed turn into a hot mess due to men claiming they didn't agree with manosphere ideology, joined us to defend themselves using manosphere ideology. Yeah, there were people that said, no, I'm not really into the manosphere thing, but then they were using the manosphere talking point. I don't know, for some reason, I don't think they realize that it's obvious when they're using the talking point. The most important thing about attempting to mansplain is a real problem. It's a real problem. Is reading the room. You have to read the room. Come on, fellas, you have to read the room. Okay? If your wife or girlfriend or little sister isn't your target audience, even if they were, you'll never get away with it. If you're talking with women, period, you will never get away with your inability to read the room. I'm finishing off the Rollo Tomasi book, The Rational Male, right now, and what I found is that is a fantastic book, and just a lot of men read it once and ran with what they thought they heard, and they haven't read it a few more times. I suggest that any man reading that book needs to read it a few times so you can get proper comprehension of what's in the book. I think the Rollo Tomasi's, he calls it, I forgot what he called it, Iron Rule. The Iron Rule number 9 talks about self-deprecation. Never self-deprecate. Self-deprecation is what you find when people start to admit to being at fault just because they've attached that to an expectation to get forgiveness fast. And what it does is it makes a woman even disrespect you more or lose respect for you even more. Another way of self-deprecating is when you enter a room and you don't read a room. It tells a lot. And if they lose respect for you, don't again, you attract what you attract. A feminine man will attract a masculine man. Whenever I use that, let's be clear about something, by the way. These are moments. They're not an absolute, right? So if I ever say a man is in his feminine, you will hear me say it that way. In a feminine energy, and not necessarily he's a feminine man. I will. If I've ever said that, I apologize in advance or into the past, okay? But there are feminine moments, okay? A feminine energy is a feminine energy. If you enter a room and you don't know how to read a room as a man, that's feminine energy. That's something you should expect from feminine energy. Feminine energy is neither right nor wrong. It just doesn't give a shit. It's like the ocean, okay? Everything moves according to the ocean energy. You have to learn how to navigate it and learn how to swim with the trend of an ocean and not the other way around. That's the feminine energy. It's not about right and wrong. It's about what it is what it is. And if you move into a room without any kind of structure and you just more concerned about how you feel, that's feminine energy. You're not necessarily wrong, but you're going to attract a certain level of energy from whoever you're dealing with. And it's going to create a kind of dynamic. It's going to create this type of polarity. Whatever you get is what you get. You don't get to blame the world for that. Okay? I will continue to break that down. If your wife or girlfriend or little sister isn't your target audience, you'll never get away with it. I'll also never seen a there was a guy that claimed to be a mental health expert, right? Be so unstable and irrational. That was new for me. It was new for me too. So I say, yay, glad you like it. Keep the foot on that neck. I've said that before, and I say that lightheadedly. Some people take an offense to that, but if you can't take a joke from that, that's really on you too, But anyway, that's where growth lies, right? When we put you under pressure, that's where growth lies. I see dumb, book smart professionals all the time: attorneys, accountants, psychoanalysts, millionaires, right? Wife or girlfriend or little sisters, they all shit test us too. They do. Even our own mothers. That's just the nature of the feminine energy. Passing this test. As a matter of fact, I want to say failing. I'm going to edit this right in front of you right now. Failing, because failing is a part of life, okay? All right, let me see if I can find that again. Where is it? Disappeared. Okay. Where is it? Okay, right there. Failing and passing this test. You're gonna fail more often than not, but if you pass enough times, women just respect you. Okay? They submit. They naturally want to submit. Okay? So you don't have to pass all the time, but you gotta pass enough times. You can't just be this person 100% of the time. You're like a shit test detector, and the next move you make is you fail the test anyway, right? Anyway, so it's part of what makes us men. And the masculine frame in those contexts, you bring the structure, the safety, and security. That's what the masculine frame does, right?